Have you ever played a game of chess which you thought you made good moves and choose the correct decisions, but then you run an analysis from the stockfish, from the computer, and the computer just laughs about your moves? Well, this is what happened on the game that I'm going to show you right now. It has an interesting finish, so stick with us so you can see how the game ended. The game started with me playing as white, e4, d6. This is a Pirc defense. The idea of the Pirc defense is to play g6, bishop to g7, knight f6, short castle, and then counterattack in the center with the e pawn or the c pawn. So it is very similar to a King's-Indian defense setup, but with white playing e4 on the first move. So I played d4, black played knight f6, and I played knight c3. I would like you to pay attention to this knight. He will have such an important role in this game. In fact, I will even give him a name. Let's call him Alipio. Why Alipio, you might ask? I don't know, it's just a random name. So pay attention on Alipio during this game. It will be interesting, especially in the end. So black continues with g6. I played bishop to e3. Here he played the move c6 to prevent Alipio's jumps to the center of the board, logical move. I played f3 with a similar idea, just to take away the g4 square of his knight, and at the same time reinforcing the defense of the e4 pawn. But here, after d5, I was very confused. Very confused because, as you can see, the best move is bishop to g7, following the ideas of the Pirc defense. And this is not how we play the Pirc. If you want to play this c6 and b5 move together, it's much better to play the Caro-Kann defense against e4. So, although this move is not a blunder, it is completely wrong according to the opening chosen by my opponent. So I advanced, took more space, forcing the knight to go to another square. Here he played knight f to d7, but computer is not afraid of knight h5, saying that after g4 he can go to g7 and black is apparently okay, as weird this looks. But he didn't play that. He put the knight here on d7. I played queen d2. He then locked the center with the move e6. You can see now that something went wrong for my opponent. When you play the Pirc, this is not the setup you like. So I decided to play h4 to provoke him to play h5 and then paralyze the pawn structure on the king side. Well, he played what I was expecting, and then I played g4. This is not the best move according to the engine. Bishop g5 was better, but I thought that this tension would benefit me because his king is in the center. So I decided to play it. And he played bishop to e7, another strange move because, I mean, if you play g6, you want your bishop on g7, not on e7. Computer here suggests c5, provoking this break on the center, freeing a square from the b8 knight, so black could free his pieces little by little. Then I played long castle, best move, and now he plays c5, which for me is still logical, but computer here does not like this move after long castle. In fact, it gives an advantage of +2 for white, with even material. I don't know why, but here the best move for white is to take, Black retakes with the rook, and then let me show you. The best continuation for white is this. Reinforcing the center, uh, preventing this break for knowing that this break will undermine the defense of the e5 pawn. So f4 has an important role to defend it again. But I wasn't able to see that continuation, so I just played bishop to b5, which immediately is disliked by the computer. For me, it's very natural because it develops a piece which was doing nothing on f1, but I just lost all my advantage here on that move. And then black played the logical move, knight c6. That was the main objective, I believe, of playing c5. But here, computer wants to take. So when I retake with a piece in this position, well, no matter what I will retake, the piece which I choose to retake will be defending the e5 pawn. So the piece would be very passive, both the bishop or the queen. But here he played knight to c6, and then I took the knight. I just took it. And again, computer does not like my choice. For me, it's so natural to choose this because the knight is exerting pressure here in the center. So you remove one piece, which is very important for black, I believe. And after takes, I took the c5 pawn. I split my pawns in the center. So now black has to choose which one he will take. Which one do you think it's better? Well, computer says knight takes e5 is the best move. It's the best choice of pawn to take because this pawn is a target. It not only limits my bishop, but it's also a target for his bishop. And for example, with simple moves like knight e7 and queen e5, he is already attacking my pawn 3 times. So basically white here would be moving to defend this pawn to not lose material. Taking the c5 pawn, it's a little bit worse, but it's okay according to the computer. But you have to take with the knight. And my opponent here chose the worst option. He took with the bishop. This is bad because I can just trade. And once I trade, look at this dark square complex in the king's side. So eliminating the dark square bishop, it's good for me. And I know that. But in the game, I didn't took it. I didn't took it. I played knight g to e2, bringing my last piece, developing my last piece. But this move is also not the best, as you can see. And here the computer suggests a very nice continuation to white. The best move here is Alipio to e4. That's such a nice move. You're not losing a piece. It looks like you're losing a piece, but you're not. For instance, if black takes, I can retake the bishop. So I immediately get back the piece. I exert pressure on the dark squares. I split black pawns, and the knight is pinned to the queen. So it's a very good position for white. If bishop takes bishop first, trying to take the Alipio, then we have the in-between move Alipio to d6, check, forcing the king up and then taking the bishop. So with the knight, with Alipio on d6, this position is very pleasant for white as well. But in this blitz game, I wasn't able to find Alipio to e4 move. So then I developed. I should have at least taken. That would be so much natural. But then here in this position, black played rook to b8. This move gives away the advantage. Not the advantage, but the equality of the position. And I mean, this is so strange because this file is open. The rook targets the b2 pawn, which is one of my weaknesses. It makes so sense. But Stockfish hates that move. So now I took the bishop, he took with the knight, and here I played knight to d4, bringing a piece to the center, attacking the c6 pawn, which is weak, and at the same time threatening a fork on the rook and on the queen. But again, computer hates my decision. It says I have just to take. Now this is something I still struggle in some chess games. When I'm playing Blitz, it's very tough to me to see whether or not I have to break or keep up the tension. This was the best continuation for me, but I just put my knight on d4. And the reason why black should not be afraid of this move is because of the simple reply queen b6, which defends the pawn and attacks the b2 as well. But my opponent played bishop to d7. I don't know exactly why he didn't play queen to b6. I guess he was trying to connect his heavy pieces on the last rank. I guess it was that. But bishop here, I mean, it's just a big pawn. It's doing nothing. And here I took. It's not the best move right now, but the reason why I took it is why I was very impatient. I couldn't wait any longer for the black to take, so I decided to do something. So after rook takes, I played rook g1, rook d g1, and now black plays queen to b6. Now computer suggests queen to a5, but queen to b6 is also fine. And here I have to choose how am I going to defend this pawn. How would you defend it? Would you play b3, Alipio to d1, or knight b3? While computer here suggests b3, but I did not play that. I did not like this weak and dark squares on my territory near my king. So I just played knight to b3, which is a mistake. Why it is a mistake? Because the pawn on e4, on e5 is hanging. So the best move here would be rook takes e5. But you might ask, wait, if you play d3, isn't the pawn hanging anyway? It looks like that, but in fact, it isn't. Let me show you why. This is a very tough line to see in very few seconds. Only computers or strong gens would see this very fast. I played knight to b3, and here is it possible? Let me show the engine line first. b3, it's not possible to take the pawn because of h5. h5 has the idea of opening one of the g or h files, so my rook can get on the last rank of black's territory. So for instance, after rook takes, pawn takes, my g1 rook is entering in the g8 square with fury and hate in the heart. This is going to be very bad for black. But this continuation is not possible with the move that I played, knight b3. Why not? Let's see why. Rook takes pawn, h5, rook takes pawn, rook takes rook is a mistake. Why this is a mistake on that move? You see that the idea is the same. It's opening the G file for my G1 rook. But here, black has a very strong in-between move, knight takes b3, which is a check and a discovered attack. In the previous position with the knight on d4, knight b3 does not work because the knight is blocking the queen and it cannot see the rook. Let me go back here. So here, in this position, this does not work. You see the knight is blocking the queen and I can just take. But with the knight on b3, this whole continuation is possible. I did not see that. My opponent didn't see either. So he just did what I wanted, what I was hoping, which was take. I took. And now these double pawns, they help me to defend this barrier that black has. And here my opponent noticed that his queen looked at my g1 rook and he thought he had this move. Rook takes h4. I had to stop and think for a while here, I think 30 or 40 seconds, because I had a strange feeling that this move was incorrect. And the fact it is. The best move, the best continuation is queen g5. Queen g5 forces black to make a decision with his rook. Of course I cannot take because my rook is hanging, so he would take with check and then the game is equal. But with queen g5, I bring another piece to attack the rook. So black has to make a decision about his rook. And at the same time, my queen looks at these dark squares near the black king, which is very bad. So for example, if black takes, white takes back, and now who is stopping the rook to enter in the h8? No one. The best continuation here is to play rook h5, because after rook h5 pawn takes, you have the same problem of the queen, but at least the rook is not getting on the last rank immediately. But this is still very bad for black. I didn't saw queen to g5. I saw the second best move in the game, which still gives white a very decent advantage. And I want you here to stop and think, what is the second best move on the position? I will give you one hint. It's with the piece who hasn't moved since move 3 in the game. So, if you said Alipio to a4, you're right. That's the second best move. In my opinion, this is much more cooler than queen g5. The idea of Alipio to a4, it's to attack the queen, but not to take it. I'm not really threatening to take the queen. I just want to get rid of this queen of this diagonal, because this whole idea of rook takes h4, it might work just because the queen is here. But if I get this queen out, so for instance, if rook takes which was what happened in the game, I cannot take the queen. This would be a horrible blunder, because he takes with check, and then my king's trapped. I'd have to give away my queen as well. In fact, I would lose all of my pieces. So the idea is not to take the queen. I saw that, I took with the rook, and now you have that same thing of the rook entering to h8, and the queen is under the attack. So this was very good for me. The best move, according to the engine here, is to give up the queen, play king d8, and you know, if your best move is to give up your queen, you're losing very badly. But here, he did not give up his queen. He's a human, of course. So he played queen to b4, one last attempt, tempting me to trade queens. But then I played rook h8 check, king e7. Again, only move was to give up the queen, and then after queen g5 check, black resigns because there's nothing black can do to stop this mate. So, very strange game, but with a nice finish. In the end, you'll see that the queen, the rook, and the pawn together give the checkmate. But for me, the real hero of this whole game was Alipio. He only moved 2 times, to c3, then to a4, and his moves did got the job done. I hope you like this game. It is very strange because it shows how natural moves us humans can be hated by the computer. And it shows me that I have a lot to learn to understand better the specifics of the positions, and understand why some moves, despite natural, they are bad. So I hope you liked this video, this game. Take care.